Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. My name is Denise Hutchins and I'm broadcasting to you from Studio Mikarts. Our charity of the month, it's new month, new charity, is Best Friends Animal Society. I chose them for September because September was when we adopted our 2 puppies and 1 pigeon, Aoife, Chappie, and Kumo. So that's who we're supporting this month. It's super easy to support them. All you have to do is watch my stream and bring your friends because I'll be making a donation at the end of the month based on my unique viewers count. You can also help by donating on Twitch. We have a fundraiser going here on Twitch, so please donate to that if you can. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for some more illustration work. I am really excited because we don't have very much left to do on this summer Gryphon illustration. We're getting so close to done. I also wanted to mention that I am trying a new streaming schedule again. I wanted to give myself more time to work on my novel, which is not something that I do on stream. So I reduced my streams to 2 hours a day. Same schedule otherwise. I'm just starting 1 hour later and it's still Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I won't be taking recovery weeks because I feel like this updated schedule means that I won't need that extra time to do other things because I've created that time on a weekly basis. So that's my update for today. So we're just going to do a 2-hour stream. I also figured 2-hour stream is nice because if anybody wants to watch the recording later, that's like a movie length. It's not a ridiculous amount of time to expect of someone to catch up on my streams or see what I've been up to. Alright, so as I'm looking at this piece, I actually haven't looked at it since last time because I set it under a bunch of heavy stuff to try and flatten the page a bit. It did help. It's still, you can see it's still sticking up in these 2 corners, but it's much more flat than it had been. Of course, as soon as I start painting it again, it's going to go shoop, but it's nice to be able to see it more flat because I can see what the overall effect is going to be once I scan it in. So, because in the end, this is meant to be printed, so I, at the very least, want to make greeting cards out of this. I've explained this before in earlier streams, but I realize I haven't done it in a while, so I'll explain it again for the first time in a little while. This is actually... Oh, my lights are not high enough. Let me bring the camera down. I'm still not quite used to my new camera. It can go... Look at how it can go just way down, and then I don't even have to hold this up. Okay, now I'm going to explain this. This is going to be a 5x7 half-fold greeting card. So what a half-fold is it you fold it in half. So this is going to be folded in half. And that means this side is going to be the front half of the greeting card, and this side will be the back half of the greeting card. And the idea is virtually all greeting cards are only printed on the front half. Then the back maybe has information about the artist, copyright, or something about the print shop, etc. This will end up being both a greeting card and an art print, so that the greeting card in itself is a gift to whoever receives it. So that's what the idea is here. Let's get this camera backwards, nice and centered and stuff. Okay. So last time, I remember I can see now, and I'm so excited because it looks so nice. We were working on the background, and now that I am looking at this again for the first time in not quite a week. Tomorrow it will be a week. In several days, I haven't looked at this. I am extremely pleased with the look I have with it being really dark down here. I added black in with the dark greens, and then I ended up adding this bluish green as well, and the lime green paint that I have too. You can see more of that right here. And we just need to move it up a little bit. I didn't want to lose what was up here because I like the idea of it going from dark to light. But I do want it to transition a little bit better because like right here, it's just suddenly ending. This lovely mottled multiple greens look It just ends right at this leaf, so that doesn't look right. We need to add a little bit more. Bringing up here, and then over here, there's a tiny bit of area, though it's a sunflower area, but we could add maybe some lime green or something just to make it different from all these sunflower petals or sunflower rays, because they're not petals, they're actual flowers in and of themselves. Anyway, something to help the background stand behind the foreground and the midground. So the midground is this sunflower right here, and then more the foreground is this sunflower and this sunflower, and because the background is also a sunflower color, it just looks like all the same stuff. So this is another area where bringing in this more worked background over here as well. So that's definitely where I will start, and I might actually feel satisfied with the watercolor once I do that, because when I look at everything else, it looks so good now that I've added this stuff in the middle, so it just kind of feels like we're going to finish the background and move on to ink. But we'll see what it looks like when we finish the background. So I realized that I got everything ready except I didn't get my palette of paints out. So let me get that. Where is it? I think it's in my, yay. I put it away properly in my watercolor drawer. I don't always do that, but I did it this time. Good job, me. Okay, so I've been using my nice, really big palette of paints. Here, I'll move the camera up a little bit so you can see the whole thing. It's always so pretty to see this whole thing. Even when you don't actually use it, just to open it and look at it, it's like, oh, look at all the rainbow of colors. It's like enough. That's enough. So, these are the three greens. This is like the lime green, there's the bluish green, and this is the dark kind of forest green. So I'm going to set my palette over to my left so that I can work from it there. Okay. Well, I guess I'll introduce my tools, especially since I have this lovely secondary camera here that it looks at my tools now. And so I've got my bowl of water, fresh, clean, and I have the 3 brushes that I've been, or 4 brushes. I've got the wash brush, 1-inch wash brush, and then a number 4 round, a number 1 round, and a number 0 round. Plus I've got this blue shop towel to dab off my painting and control the amount of water on the brush, and then this microfiber towel to rest my brushes on to keep my desk clean. Yay, we're ready. Okay. Where do I want to start? I guess we'll just use I think I was using the 4. And this 1 brush has been giving me trouble. But it's the perfect size to be using in these teeny tiny areas here. I'll give it a shot. I'll give ya a shot, brush. Let's see. So I need to keep in mind that I'm left-handed. So if I work on this area, that means I'll have to turn the painting all the way over. So even though what I really want to work on is this section I was just talking about where you can't tell background from midground from foreground, I think I better start over here because that means this can dry. See, my hand can rest on the dry spot, work on this, and then continue resting on dry spots because the wet spots will be on the right. So let's do it. Let's work from here. I'm really happy with this transition here. I don't feel like I need more all the way on the right side of the image, but here in the middle, this needs a little bit more, and we'll just use this light green because if you follow this across, it's right about here. So the first thing I'm going to do is cover this whole area, this section here, with water because I was using a wet on wet technique, and that's really nice for the colors to be able to meld with one another and also to meld with the paint that's already soaked into the paper. so we won't get any hard edges, because I don't want hard edges in the background. I want the background to be as soft as possible because it's just a support for everything else. Hopefully, even though I'm putting this much work into it, the background should be the last thing that anyone looking at this image for the first time would bring their attention to. So I'm bringing the water up way farther than where I'm actually going to apply paint. And that is so that we'll get a nice, smooth transition between the paint that's already on the page and the paint that I'm gonna put down in a minute. So hopefully this is good. I'm not sure, I don't think I got this section. Oh yeah, I missed this triangle. Something else I've been doing is, so this area at the bottom where I started, I'm gonna add a little bit more water because the water starts drying as soon as you put it down. I mean, technically, even the water in this bowl is already drying out just because that's how water works. Water likes to go where there's no water, which means it goes into the air too. So I don't want this to dry yet. I want to be able to add the paint on, manipulate it, and then it can dry. Okay, that's good. So, like I said, I think I just want to add the lime green because we're so high up on the page. All right. I just had a thought because it does make me feel a little guilty, even though it's my channel, so I should be able to do whatever I want, but it makes me feel guilty when I reduce the amount of time I'm streaming. But then when I think of the movie length, 2 hours is a movie length, and then I think, how long were Bob Ross episodes? I don't think they were 3 hours long. I mean, maybe they were. So I've never actually just sat down and watched one from beginning to end, I don't think. They're always just happen to be on somewhere, and then I just watch it from that point. So I don't think I necessarily need to feel bad. So even Bob Ross didn't spend 8 hours a day working on his paintings on camera. Okay, I'm sort of avoiding the yellow area because I don't want to lose that feeling of there's a sunflower here in the background. But I am letting the paint climb into that area. And now I'm just adding more water to soften the transition here between the green. You can see right here, this is the lime green where it ended, and it's right perfect right there. So I just don't want any hard edges to develop. So I'm even bringing the water higher up. So there's plenty of room for the paint to spread out. What happens when you get a hard edge is that there wasn't enough water for the pigment to spread out within, and so that edge where the water ends, the pigment collects there, and then you get a hard edge. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. So by adding a ton of water, there should be plenty of room for it to spread out in. And I'll keep an eye on it as it dries too, because if it's not fully dry, you can still manipulate it and move that pigment and spread it out. But right now, I think this is great. This is the halfway point. So I think the front half is all done. I'm really excited to see how this dries. But there's plenty more to do over here. We're going to do this little section. Since it's small, it's nice because it won't take very long to get the paper wet. Won't even have to add extra water because it's going to go so fast. Okay, and let's do the same thing. The lime green paint, straight from the well, not mixed or anything. And just apply it around the yellow and into the background. green background. I just realized that I'm painting lower than my camera is looking. In fact, I'm not going to have this camera a little lower. There. All right. Nice. Nice. Now there's some dark green here right at the edge of this stem. So let's add a little bit of that so that it doesn't look weird that it suddenly ends there. I think it's this hunter green and not the blue green. Hunter/forest green. So let's add a little touch of that just down here next to this leaf. So you don't want it to just suddenly end like that because it's distracting. It's visually distracting. And like I said, I want the background to be the supporting character. The last thing someone would notice, hopefully. So we'll see how that dries. Moving over. So I'm going to keep using this as a guide. So we definitely want some of that green in these two little spots here. We don't need very much water because these spots are really small. Oh man, after I finish this one though, I'm going to turn on my little fan under my desk because it's getting really hot in here. It wasn't too hot. This is the story every time. It wasn't too hot, and then I start streaming and all the lights and the equipment. It's too much. It makes the room really hot. Also, I keep the door closed so that there's not as much distracting outside noise. And it gets really hot. Plus, there's 3 living beings in here. Me and my 2 puppy dogs. So we're generating heat. Okay, turning on my fan. I just put it on low, so hopefully that won't be distracting or annoying. But even low is enough to make a nice day. I can already feel the lovely breeze. Okay, so this little quadrangle is next. Super small. It's really easy to do that one. Hardly any work necessary. Okay. So what about here? Yeah, this part is high enough that we don't need to worry about this light green being here. That said, this section does connect up here, but I think we'll leave the water right around here and add stuff down below. So let's fill this area in with water. Be super careful because it's very small and narrow down here. And it goes far enough down that I think we'll add some of that dark green or maybe the blue green in the lower section. I'm always painting this water as carefully as I can so that I don't get a bunch of water on areas where I don't want the paint to go, because the paint, once it's on the page when it's wet, will just flow where it feels like flowing. Okay, so let's see about this. Add a little tiny bit of water back down in the bottom. And now add some forest green, or let's do the blue green. not enough pigment. I haven't used the blue-green before, so the paint's not woken up at all. Okay, let's see if this will... There we go. Put some stuff down. I'm just guiding the paint into the corners, especially here under the wing and in between the feathers of this Gryphon in the background. It's tough because it's so small. I'm just guiding the paint in between, and this is great because it's helping that wing stand out too. Yay! Okay, just guiding the paint up. And we've got this yellow here, so protect that a little bit. Let's add some lime green. Okay, Google. How long was a typical Bob Ross episode?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Oh,
but I
doesn't understand.
Related. Do you want to know how many episodes did Bob Ross film a day?
Haha, okay, yeah. Didn't tell me. Okay, Google. How many episodes did Bob Ross film a day?
On the website bookmans.com, they say, he filmed each season in just 2 days. Bob Ross is such a master painter, he would film a 13-episode season in just 2 days. This would give him more free time to do some of the things he loved, like spending time with friends, loved ones, and Mother Nature. To find out more,
Nice.
look for the link in your Google Home or Google Assistant app.
Wow. Well, there you go. It doesn't say how long it was, but if he filmed a 13-episode season in 2 days, there's no way he was doing more than a couple hours a episode. He's doing it all in 2 days, sure, but then he takes the time off because he's got the season done. It's not the same for live streaming because it's not live. But that does make me feel better. Yay! Because just like it said, Bob Ross had other things he wanted to do, and I also have other things that I do. I love streaming, but I also love writing. I love exercising. I love playing video games. I want to have a nice, balanced life. I think that's good. Actually, I noticed a little spot where we're getting a little too much accumulation in one little line, so let's just spread that out. And spread this paint out too a little bit. Oh, I can't. I need a little bit more water. That's good. And as I'm looking over here, I don't see any hard lines drying, so I think I put enough water. Yay! I think it's dry now. Maybe a tad bit damp still. Tiny, barely noticeable. Okay, next is this little triangle. Right here next to the wing. Put a dab of this blue-green. If I could get some on my brush. There we go. Got a tiny bit on that sunflower ray right there, but I'm just going to leave it. It's so small. If it still bothers me later, I will clean it up when I get to the digital part of this piece, because this is not like most of my pieces, this is not going to be purely physical media work. I'm also going to be adding digital effects and cleanup and other things once I'm done with all the physical media that I want to use. And it's so freeing to work this way, because then even if you make some huge mistake, something you really did not intend to do, and it seems impossible to work with it with the physical media, you can just sit back and relax because you can clean it up digitally. And it doesn't even have to be cleanup. You could do something digitally that you can't do physically that makes the piece work, even if it's not exactly how you imagine it. And sometimes that's the best part, because really cool stuff can happen from a so-called mistake. That's why Bob Ross always says happy accidents, as long as you know how to work with them. All right, adding blue-green, especially right here next to this stem where I added blue-green on the other side. And down here. Then let's add the lime green. So it doesn't have to be an exactly straight line. There can be pockets here and there of this color or that color. And we definitely want areas where it's two colors intermingling, because I think that looks so pretty. More than any single color by itself, when they're mixed like this, it's so nice. It's so nice. So I'm also getting the paint to those corners. This brush has been giving me trouble off and on as I've been using it with this piece, but today it's behaving really nicely, so maybe I'm actually learning how to use it better after so many sessions. I want to make sure to get the paint in between the talons here. It's an easy spot to forget. I'm also using this opportunity to fill in any areas where the paper has managed to avoid getting much, if any, paint on it. And then there ends up being these little, it almost looks like pixels, almost looks like a blank pixel, but it's a blank bit of paper. So I'm filling those in because I don't want that halo effect that happens if you leave those. Sometimes you might want that halo effect because it can help your character stand out more. But I don't want it today. Let's see, is this casting a shadow? I've got my lights way down low, way lower than I normally put them, because I realized that with this camera and being able to move it up and down on the pole that it's on means that having my lights way up high above my head like I used to, I have two gooseneck lamps here to my left and my right, it was casting a shadow from the camera head. So now they're way low, but it kind of looks like it's casting a shadow again, but I think it's not. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Just because I finally shaded this Gryphon so well. Okay, next section, moving up. I finally feel over my COVID symptoms, but another wildfire has broken out as well, like 2 weeks ago now, and the smoke is still coming. So I'm still all sniffly, but it's from environmental causes, not illness. I just can't seem to catch a break here. Bigman2K. Hi! I haven't seen you in forever. I feel like you've been in my channel before. I've seen you in other channels, right? Pretty sure. Thank you for joining me. Yay! First time chat though, so yeah. I guess you've never chatted in my channel before. Thank you. Hope you're having a good day. How are you? I'm actually going to take my blue towel and dab away a little bit here because it's gotten a little too vibrant and I'm losing the leaf in the background. So I'm going to take some paint away. But it will still be some pigment left. Oh, really? Well, I'm so glad you came over to check me out then. I appreciate it. I feel like I recognize you from Margot Simone art. I feel like that's where I've seen you. But I visit so many channels when I raid, so can't say for sure. Alright, so let's add a little bit of paint in this section. Not filling it up, but just a little touch so that it doesn't seem so abrupt for the paint to end. For that lime green paint to end. Just a tiny little touch. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's probably it then. What are you up to today? Oh, thank you. I'm so close to done. I am super excited because it's that point where it's how can I explain this? Last week, I was explaining it like I was seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And now, it's like I'm in that light. We're just walking through to the exit of the watercolor tunnel. Because there's still plenty of other stuff I want to do. But yeah, my watercolor process always takes so long that it feels like despair. For the first 2/3. Like, oh no, what have I done? I'll never be able to get myself out of this. Oh no, it looks terrible. Or whatever. I remind myself this happens every time. It happens every time. And then I get to this point where I'm so close to done that it's super exciting. So thank you for your kind words. Okay, moving over. And we just got this little teeny tiny triangles here, so I'm gonna do my best to, you know what, no, I'm gonna go to my size 0 brush, smaller brush, as it fit the paint right in those teeny tiny triangles. And at this point, I think I'll just add the lime green, looking at what's on the other side of the stem. And do my best to just set. I didn't even use wet on wet technique because it was so small, there's no point. Such a small little space. Okay, that's pretty good. But I will do wet on wet in this next section, even though it's also tiny, but I'll stick with this tiny brush so it'll be okay. Just get the page wet. Oh, and there's this really long bit right here. Okay. And add in that lime green to it. Oh man, I almost dropped my brush. I don't know why I do that sometimes. My hand's just like, haha, and the brush goes flying. I've almost done that a couple times recently on this piece. I haven't actually done it, so that's nice, but it's a little worrisome. Okay. That's pretty good. Alright, moving up. More lime green in this part. Sticking with the tiny brush. Whee! Okay. There we go. Such small little nooks and crannies here around all the sunflowers. Lime green, straight out of the well. I don't need to go too much higher. This is the end of the lime green over here. So just do a little wet on dry up here. Yeah, that's good enough. Yay! So now I can finally work on the section that I wanted to work on the most. But that I avoided on purpose because of my left-handedness, so that I wouldn't be trying to not touch my hand in wet paint. Right here, I want to add lime green on top of this yellow to help it stand behind these sunflowers that are next to it. Because it doesn't look like we have background here, it just looks like a bunch of yellow stuff. Should I use this tiny brush again though? It gets really big up here, that'll be hard to fill in. So we're going to go back to the size 1. Try to wet this entire area. And it's important not to overdo it because if you add too much water, it'll spill over into areas you don't want it to be. But then if you don't have enough water, the paint won't spread all lovely and organic and smooth. It's a balancing act. Just need this area and then a little higher, just like over here, so that we can have a smooth transition between the paint that I'm gonna put down and the paint that's already there. I think that's high enough. Maybe a little higher. I do have it going all the way up here. So we'll go a little higher. And it actually looks like the bottom area is still damp enough, so I won't add any more water down there. So let's get that lime green, yay! What I've been waiting for the whole stream for 40 minutes. Well, I did my introduction for the first 10 minutes, so maybe not the whole stream, but... Alright. The paint down and rinse my brush and use a damp brush to guide this pigment into all the corners. Oh, Chappie's having a barking dream. I don't know if you can hear her. Oh, there she goes. Oh, maybe it's over. Maybe her little dream is over. Her little tootsies are still going pew, 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 pew. Oh, Bigman, thank you so much! Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you! Holy crap! You are amazing! Thank you so much for donating $20 to our Best Friends Animal Society fundraiser. That is double the goal. I appreciate it so much, and so do all the animals. Thank you, thank you. Wow, you made my month. First stream of September and you totally made my month. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Yay, I'm so happy. I chose Best Friends Animal Society this month because that little dreamer you might have heard, Chappie, we adopted her this month 3 years ago now from Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. So that's why September is the month that I support the society version. It's basically the same thing. The sanctuary is just the physical location. Oh, I'm so happy. happy so more pets can find homes thanks to you. Thank you. Whenever I do my donation at the end of the month as well, I always put from Studio Mikarts and everybody watching on Twitch. I don't know how many people at the charities actually read those messages, but I like to know that Twitch is a community of givers. That it's not just me donating. Thanks to everybody here. I'm just trying to integrate this blue-green that I added here, which I love that pop that's happening, but it's kind of random, so I'm trying to add a little bit more, and I'll even add some over here too where it's already dry. So it doesn't seem too out of place. Pretty good. Let's bring more of the paint out. Yeah, I think I want to add more in this section too. Oh. Now it's Aoife's turn to dream. Aoife's on this side, Chappie's on this side. If you're hearing a click-click sound, that's Aoife's nails going choo 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 against the... It's my big paper cutters standing up next to her. It's just dream time in here today. Studio Mikarts Dream Studio. She's still kind of flopping. Her feet are still flopping. Oh, how's that? I kind of like how this is going. I don't feel like I need to take this darker green higher. I don't feel the need to add any above this yellow point here. And there's much more separation happening over here, so that's great. Here, I'll bring my camera down, and it's still got to dry to see what the final effect is, but it's way better right here. Now it's not just yellow, 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 yellow. So probably the next thing I want to work on is creating a little more division between these mid-ground and foreground. Well, I guess these are mid-ground. Well, between them too. Okay, so between all the individually depicted sunflowers. What we have going on right here. This one's standing out all right against this one. But here, these sunflower rays look exactly the same. And so there's no separation happening. It's better over here with this one because we've got these really brightly colored ones happening there. There's a little bit, but these two are meant to be fairly close together. So yeah, that's the next thing I want to work on. Let's create more depth. And the way I want to do it is by adding more detail to the front sunflowers. So when I'm looking at my reference image, the ones in the front actually have a lot more variation in the tones and shades. Because the farther away they go, the more blurry they get, and it just looks like a brown circle with a yellow circle around it. But the closer you get to the camera for this reference photo, the more details you can see. So, how do I want to do that? I'll zoom in a reference image, get some ideas. I think I mostly just need to add more lines to the, or maybe more details to the brown part too. Of course, I could always add, well, I don't know if I want to add white, but I could add some highlights. Could do that digitally too once I go to digital media. I'm gazing at my painting. Try and get some ideas. How should I move forward? Is it I don't want to make these sunflowers too dark. Because I was already worried when I added the shadows of the rays overlaying one another. And when I saw it like that, I was like, oh no, they're so dark now. But I've darkened the background, so that's all right. I'm looking over at another different sunflower from this reference image. Maybe instead, I thought I knew what I wanted to do, but now it seems like perhaps what it would be better to do instead of messing with these foreground ones, because I've already got so much detail, especially in this one that's the closest to the viewer. We've got, I'll hold it up, we've got so much detail actually in these rays. Orange lines, green lines, that overlapping shadow showing that light is shining through multiple layers. But then I've done a little less here because this one's farther away, which is good. So maybe what I actually need to do is similar to what I did for these last week, which is sort of lessen the amount of detail by working this orange paint. I don't know if you could see that. Oh, now you can see it. Working this orange paint back in so that it's not so defined and it's more of a splash of color than a specific shape. Let's try that. Because I really don't see anything I can add to the foreground sunflowers that wouldn't make them look too dark or take away from their soft appearance, because when I'm looking at the reference image, these rays are all very soft and delicate looking. So I don't want to lose that. Okay, so in order to work these, it's pretty easy. I'm just going to add water and move the watercolor around. That's a nice and also a troublesome thing about watercolor is that if it's on thick enough, you can actually continue to work it even after it's dry. I want to keep that edge for the shadow. So I'm going to try to work within that shape. So I'm just applying water and then just sort of rubbing my brush over the surface. Call it working. I don't know what other, it's probably a better word for it. Working it. And it's already doing what I hoped. It's already smoothing this orange into that green shadow. I might do the same thing with the middle part as well, the disc, so that it's not as detailed. And we just have color more than shape. got this one. Working it into the edge here against the Gryphon as well, because I noticed there's one of those little lines where the paint has managed to not really fill in all the paper. Okay, I'll let those dry, and then I'll work on the background ones a little bit. So we've got 2 layers going on here. So I did the first layer of these rays. Try to get, there's like a little hair on here. Try to get this hair off. I think it's probably from the brush itself because it's so small. It just bothers me. I've tried using tweezers, but it doesn't actually work that well because it just kind of scrapes the paper. So try using a brush to get it to stick to the brush. Well, it's not going to work. I just have to leave it. There's just going to be a hair there. But I see I've lost my edge because I was messing around with that. I'll try to get that edge back after it's dry. If I do it now, it will just spread everywhere that I've gotten wet. So let's not mess with it anymore. Let's mess with the disc. Alright, soften this up too. Oh, and work it into the edge. We've got the same edge thing going on. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I don't want to work on this side of it yet because I think these are still wet. So, let's flip it all the way over, work on this one. Because if I leave this one with the amount of detail it has and just work the details out of the one behind it, then I think we'll get some separation. Of course, I will be able to add separation using ink later because that's the next step. Adding ink details and outlines anywhere it seems like they would be helpful. But as I said last week, I really like to work each medium that I use in a piece to work it to the max and then move on, because then the final piece is maxed out. So that's what I'm doing here. I don't want to leave something that I could use watercolor for. I'm so pleased. This is working way better than I thought it would. I don't know why I didn't trust it, but maybe the paint would be more stubborn than this, but it's just moving right along. It's like, oh, you want me to blend in with this other color? Okay. Thank you, paint, for being so good. There's another hair on this petal. No, they're not petals. They're not petals. I'm trying to Ever since I started this piece, I've been trying to get myself to not call them petals, because they're not petals, they're actual individual flat flowers. So they're called rays. I'm trying to remember that. I just keep forgetting. Anyway, I'm not going to go after that little hair because I saw what happened on the other sunflower. Just let it be. Let the hair be. Oh, it's almost break time. Probably take my 5-minute break when I'm done with these rays. Another thing that's going to be great about going down to 2 hours instead of 3 hours for my streams is that my back won't hurt so much when I'm done. I take my breaks and I stretch and stuff, but there's only so much that a little 5-minute break will do for you, so. I also got my yoga session in before streaming today, so I am feeling really good. My back doesn't hurt at all right now. Can't say the same for last week because I think I only did yoga once that week. I try to do it every weekday, specifically to counteract my chronic back pain. And also just because it's good for you. Good for your flexibility, mobility, even strength. Some poses require some holds that are pretty intense. Uh-oh. It looks like my main camera is frozen. Well, perfect for break time. What the heck, camera? What's going on? Okay, hold on. I will just try to... What happened, camera? It's stuck. Properties. What the heck's going on, camera? Why are you frozen? Uh-oh. I might have to end my stream and do a part 2. Because what fixes this, I've had this happen before. I've only had this camera for a couple weeks. This is the 2nd week. And what has fixed it before is restarting OBS. I don't know what the deal is. It's still available as selectable. Logitech Stream Cam. But it's frozen. It's not, I'm like moving it around. It's not doing anything. And you can see that my stream isn't frozen thanks to my little tertiary camera. You can see the painting moving around there. Well, I guess it's perfect timing. I am going to end this stream so that I can restart my OBS, and I'm also going to take my little break. So I will be back in 5 minutes with a fresh stream. See you then.